Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of whatever this mess is in this iteration this time. I'm here. Hello. We're a little bit late for that whole once a month thing, January reading, because stuff got real in the news and I kind of got distracted. I'm very sorry. I am the person that usually likes to be the distraction, so here we are. January was admittedly a slow month reading-wise. I read 3 books. One of them I will not be talking about on here because it didn't work for me. And speaking of which, hi, my name is Summer Cannon. If this is your first time here, I am a horror writer, but I'm also a horror fan. I love talking about horror books. I love talking about horror movies. I love it all. Monsters are my thing. What we like to do here is keep it upbeat, keep it positive. If I read a book that I didn't like, I will not be that person that's going to come on here and tell you why I didn't like it. There are other places that can do that. No hate for the people who do that. But as a writer, it doesn't feel right coming on here and talking about the works of my peers, essentially. And no, and you know, half of the time, books that don't work for me, it is absolutely a me thing. It's no fault of the book, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about the books that I liked, that I would like to recommend to you. And we're actually going to talk about a movie today as well. It's like old times, back in the year of the werewolf, because we are talking about werewolves today. Not solely, but let's get into it. So the first book that I read for 2025 was a collection of shorts by Kenzie Jennings called A Woman Like Joe. Now, Kenzie Jennings as an author, I've talked about her on this channel before. She is a never miss for me. I have not read something from her that I didn't love. Never a stinker from her. And her collection, Always Listen to Her Hurt, I think is what it's called. That collection, when I tell you that I had to stop reading it a couple of times because I was bawling out of anger and empathy for what was going on in that book. Whew. And A Woman Like Joe, now this one didn't make me cry, but I loved this. Kenzie is so good at short stories. She's good at long length stuff too, but god damn, her short stories, sorry, are so good. There's a through line through all of them of like, just angry women who are sick of shit, lots of shit, not just, you know, shit with men. There's also, I'm sick of shit at my job. I'm sick of the daily life. It's all kinds of things. And you don't have to be a woman to read this. Like, my God, I grew up reading mostly books written by men and the male experience, and I grew up reading books by men that later in hindsight you figure out, well, these guys hate women. That's why I hate women. That's one of those weird things you gotta work through as a fan of a genre that maybe wasn't all that progressive in the 70s and 80s. Is one of those fun things you get to work through. But the horror genre, I'm very proud to say, is much better now, because of men who are writing awesome progressive stuff, but also because of female writers like Kenzie Jennings. So definitely recommend that. The next book I want to talk about is a werewolf book, and it was on my to be read list. The first time I saw the cover on social media, I put it on my to be read list, but then the author reached out to me and was like, do you want to maybe read this? It would be nice because I know you love werewolves. And I was like, absolutely yes. So I grabbed a copy, put it on the top of my TBR list, and I'm so happy that I did. It's called Wolves in the Mountains by Russell James. Russell James is an author I've been reading for years. If you are new to him, he has a gigantic backlog of works. I mean, pick your poison with his stuff. There's something for everybody in his backlog. He's also, like, I don't think I've ever read anything of his that I didn't like. He's really easy to read. I really like his pacing. And he won me over with a book that I typically, it's not my thing. If the cover hadn't caught my eye, and if it weren't Russell James, I might have passed on this, because it's Nazi werewolves. And during the year of the werewolf, 2023, I said several times that I'm just not it's not my thing. The Nazi werewolf thing, the whole World War II thing, it's not my thing. And that might be because people from my generation who tend to talk a lot about World War II, it's not for the right reasons. Can I say that? And, you know, society at large is paying for that. But no. Wolves in the Mountains is about, it's very black and white. The Nazis are the bad guys in this. There is never a second where we're really empathizing with them or sympathizing with them at all. We are learning what they're doing, but they are wholly and completely the bad guys. And there's werewolves, and there's witchcraft, and there's war strategy. There's really likable and understandable characters in this. And there's a great ending. And I knew there would be. Russell is someone who is good enough at his craft that he's not someone who tends to whiff the ending of a book. So definitely recommend that. Good werewolf book, good monster stuff, but also good characterization, good witchcraft stuff. You know I love that. Definite recommend. And that's the 2 books for January that I got through that I actually liked. I went and saw The Wolfman in theaters. And let me just say, I liked it. I came out of it and I was happy. I usually like Leigh Whannell stuff. I'm not what I would call a Leigh Whannell fangirl or anything. I like his aesthetic. I like the way Leigh Whannell makes things look and sound. I dig that whole thing. And there actually is a shot in this movie that took my breath away. There's a shot where there's a car accident with a big moving van, and it goes down the side of a hill, and the way it's shot is so fantastic, and it's so masterfully done. It's a small thing, and it's a small piece of the movie, but the way it's shot was so good. I'm on IMDb. Christopher Abbott, who is our main character in this, he's fantastic. He is fantastic as our main character, as our afflicted. I think he was wonderful. And I think, why are you going back down? Julia Garner, who plays his wife Charlotte, she is also really good. I do have some questions. So this movie does, thankfully, spare us the hysterical screaming woman. But I think in some scenes, maybe it went a little too far the other way, because Charlotte acts maybe a little stoned. And I'm not trying to be funny. There was just a lot of, I do understand. There is a place where I can come around and be like, nope, I totally get it. People react differently. My husband is someone, when something scary happens, when something big happens, he absolutely freezes. He can't talk. He can't make a decision. He freezes. And I see that in her. Very scary things are happening, and she's just watching it happen. She's not saying anything. She's not really reacting. She's just watching it. And there is a very low-key vibe to this whole movie, despite what is happening, that I could be talked into liking it. I think I need to see this movie again. When it comes on to streaming, I will watch it again. But my big criticism of the movie is that there could be an argument where you could say it's not a werewolf movie. It's a monster movie. It's a good monster movie, but maybe not so much a werewolf movie. There are other sicknesses that cause monsters. There are other body horror movies where we end up with a monster at the end, and that monster's not necessarily a werewolf. And I kind of got the feeling, again, I've only watched it once. I do need to see it again, and maybe I'll come around, but I just felt they were going for new so much that they didn't add any of the hallmarks of a werewolf into this new monster, aside from how the disease is passed on. But that happens with a lot of monsters, not just werewolves. And I just felt, I came away feeling a little cold in that aspect, where it didn't feel maybe wolfy enough to me. The effects, the monster effects, they're fine. there's not a huge singular transformation scene. There is a transformation scene, but it's like finishing the transformation. The transformation is slow when we're talking about transformation scenes. There's like a final move towards the transformation. And it actually, something happens in it with a jawbone that was actually kind of great. But I think there's an argument there that this isn't necessarily a werewolf movie. And again, I'll watch it again. I'll get back on that. And I don't know. I liked it. I wasn't mad about it. It was a nice way to spend an evening. Good monster movie, good atmosphere, good pacing. One kind of awesome thing is, but also an argument for why it's not a werewolf movie, we like our lunar cycles in werewolf movies. The complete transformation takes that 28 days, takes that lunar cycle. And the monster in this has nothing to do with the moon, has nothing to do with the lunar cycle. The sickness that this character catches and the transformation, it all happens in a single night. And I kind of liked that. If they had maybe held on to other tradition, I would have been more into it. But I did find that refreshing. It took a single night for all of this to happen. The movie, aside from kind of like a flashback scene in the beginning, the movie takes place in a single night. And that part I was into. If you get a chance, if you didn't get to see it in theaters and when it comes on to streaming or when it comes out on Blu-ray and you want to watch, I totally recommend it. This movie is miles beyond some of the movies I watched during the Year of the Werewolf. I'll watch it again. I need to watch it again because I still have questions on my own feelings about it. So that is actually all the stuff I want to recommend that's outside of me. And by that I mean a werewolf anthology that I'm in. Strange New Moons by French Press is out now. And they got some great names to submit to this. Tim Levin is in this. Mary San Giovanni's in this. I wrote a funny story for this. It's called Who Keeps Shitting on the Memorial Fire Tower? And it is a funny story. It is a werewolf story. It is very monstery, but it is silly. It leans into the absurdity of the genre a bit. I got my contributor's copy, and she's thick. I was surprised. That's a thick book. And for what they're asking for, it's a deal. With the names that are in it and the amount of stories in it, please grab a copy. Talk about it when you read it. Shout out the authors whose story you liked. We got to talk about it. That's how this stuff gets around. If you like it, talk about it. Get your butt on social media and tell everybody. And that'll be it. February is a shorter month. February is also it's always a hectic month around here. There's a birthday in this house in February, and so I will try to get my February video up, hopefully in February or within the first couple of days of March. We'll get there, but I am still reading. I hope, despite what is being mandated by certain higher-ups, that maybe one of the books you read in this month is by a Black author, because February is Black History Month. I will certainly be trying for that. And that's all I have to say today. So I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.